Scott Redler joins us this morning. Scott, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing really, really good. Look, I just want to start off by saying, first of all, thanks for taking time to join us here this morning. Really, really appreciate it. I've been following you for a long time. And most recently, I actually followed you in one of your trades, the trade desk, ticker TTD, on that 100 break. That actually took a couple of weeks to break through it. But that's been pretty nice since then. So again, thanks for joining us here today.
Oh, my pleasure. I remember that trade. That actually was like one of 20, and that was a really tricky one. I was hoping you'd say you joined me on Tesla pre-election. I was hoping you'd say you joined me on Amazon, post earnings, or joined us on Bitcoin at October 11th. But, I'm glad at least you went with that one.
I got a question for you on Tesla. So, and yes, that TTD, man, that was a tricky one. I got a question for you here on Tesla. Really quick, though, there is a QR code here on the screen. So be sure to download Scott's free ebook and see his #1 spot to buy and get his free indicator that alerts you. I'll go ahead and throw the link there in the chat. Okay, Scott, first question here I want to ask you. Let me go ahead and throw the link in the chat there for you. First question here I want to ask you is just kind of about prop firms in general. What benefits do traders gain from the advanced tools and the supportive community offered by T3 or prop firms in general that are typically unavailable for retail traders?
Well, if you're a retail trader, and you're not with a firm, sometimes you're sitting in your house or you're at a small office and you don't have a big group or desk of individuals that you trust. So, I've been a T3, since 2004. I've been in the business since 1998. And one of the real mantras we have is just don't trade alone. In my alpha team, I have over 500 professional traders or guys that are super knowledgeable and active, and we share ideas, we share levels, we share news, and it's like you're sitting on a 1,000-person desk, but you could be in your house. So, joining the alpha team, if you trade for a living, you have, instead of 2 eyeballs, you have a few hundred. And plus, I'm in there on the radio, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm, pretty good and consistent at it. So, with that being said, you're putting yourself in a better position to be more consistent and make money and make a living if you join some type of group. It's always good to be in a group that you trust. And I trust the alpha team, with, as my dogs, like I have a question, I ask them, I say, hey, what's the level on this? Hey, when's earnings there? Like it's like you talk about a think tank. The alpha team is a think tank, with guys that have been trading for 5 years, 10 years, is trading as long as I have. So, if you have that, it gives you confidence, and with confidence, you can execute. And when you execute, that's how you make money.
Okay, awesome. I'm a huge proponent of trading with the community. And you're right. When you get some of those powerful traders in your community and in your corner, that can be really, really helpful. Really good stuff there. Can you tell me what your morning prep looks like for a prop trader? What kind of things do you do to get prepared for the regular session?
Well, I'm not your average dog. I'm up at 4:45 in the morning, so most traders don't have to be. What I do is I get up in the morning, I try and preach a lifestyle, kind of like the red dog mindset where, you get up in the morning, I say, don't look at your phone for the first half hour, because when you look at your phone, it develops your psyche for the day. Your mind doesn't even realize it. So keep your phone downstairs, wake up, go downstairs, drink a glass of water. That helps flush your system, a full glass of 16 ounces. Then what I do is I turn on my sauna. Okay, I have a sauna downstairs. I got during the pandemic because we couldn't go to gyms. And if you're somebody who likes to go to the gym and it breaks up your routine, obviously it's not going to make you feel good. So I got a sauna, so I turn that on. Then I come upstairs, I let my dog out. Her name is Cadence, my best friend. So it's good to, get something familiar with yourself in the morning. It makes you happy, whether the futures are down or up. And then I sit down at the table, my coffee's ready, and then I turn my phone on and I look at what's happening in Europe, look what happened in Asia. I kind of think in my mind where the futures will be, what's been going on in the tape. I do some tweets on what's happening. By that point, it's been a half an hour. Then I go downstairs in my sauna for about 20 minutes with 15-pound weights. I listen to some videos, some podcasts, and I think about what positions I have, what I'm going to do when I pretty much get rid of about 3 pounds of sweat. And then from there, I go upstairs. My wife gets upset because I have little drops of sweat go through the staircase, but who cares? They dry up. By the time she's up at 8 o'clock, they're gone, but they leave little spots. And then I go in an ice barrel. So I have an ice barrel outside. I've been doing it for a bunch of years, and just go in, because whether it's 30 degrees, 40 degrees, we all need to train our brain for go time. So the colder, the better. I go in there, refresh, kind of get in there, and then I also think while I'm in there. So this way, you control your breathing. And then by that time, I get in the car, go to Dunkin' Donuts. I get here around 6:15. I do a free 6:30 video for anyone that wants to tune in. And from there, I backed a lot of like-minded traders around the world that wound up turning into Alpha Team members or Redler All Access members. And then I do about 45 charts that I post to all the sites with all my thoughts on how to approach the day. And then by that time, maybe the rest of the world gets up.
Okay, that's amazing. That's a lot to pack in prior to the open. No wonder you get up at 4:45. I'm up at 5, so you got me beat by 15 minutes. I'll try and up my game. I also only do 8 ounces of water in the morning instead of 16, so I'll follow your lead there too. And it looks like
you got to start somewhere there, buddy. You got to start somewhere. It's okay.
Got to start somewhere. We're 2% better every day. That's my motto. It looks like you're joining us from the sauna here too. Get pretty good Wi-Fi in there, it looks like.
There you go. I'm not really sweating today. I've already sweat out my 3 pounds.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. The big question that I had for you here was going to be around Tesla. So I am super thrilled that you already brought that up here. How did you manage the Tesla position both pre and post election?
Well, pre-election, because it was a binary event, I went mostly with options. The stock was trading somewhere around, I could actually even put it up. I want to put it up. Let's go present. I'm getting a little bit better at this. Entire screen, boom, boom. Okay, so if you want to put Tesla up, basically pre-election, the stock was trading right here. Okay, the stock was trading around 250. So what I did is I bought some 270 and 280 calls, thinking that if Trump won, with the way Elon was backing him, we'd at least take out 275. But because it's a binary event, I don't guess. Just like earnings, we don't guess, because if you guess wrong, you could screw up your month and your quarter. So I put on 270, 280 calls, if I do remember, and they were up huge into that move. So when we got back above here, then I was able to buy the stock because I had 275 as a pro kind of move, pro gap to trade against. And then, it ran all the way to 358, where on Monday of this week, I kind of, I got a little overhedged. I sold a little premium above just to stay with the move. It went a little bit further than I would have thought. And then once we put this doji, and I told everyone out there, I'm saying I'm a lot smaller. This is the time it needs to digest. It could retrace if it breaks below the bottom part of that doji, which is just, technical analysis 101. Now here we are at the 8-day. So right around here, I'm actually selling some puts. I sold some yesterday. I was a little worried. I sold just some 297 puts for today and some 292s for next week. And I'm also long the stock. I want to see how it behaves here. I'm hoping that it hangs here at the 8-day, because usually strong names, hold the 8-day. That means it's fast, there's momentum. If it happens to break here, it's still fine, but you'd want to see it hold a big portion of this move to see the speed. If it starts to give back more than that, then I might be a little stressed out, but it's fine. I feel like if you sold strength, this is your zone to try and buy it back carefully. But you look at something like the IWM post election. Not saying it, it's a leadership, sector, but this is already in the post-election gap. So if the IWM is in the post-election gap and other things want to follow, you don't want to just have a false sense of security thinking that we're going to be strong. We're going to 6,300 like all the major bulls said this week. We might retrace a little bit more next week into what historically is a weaker week. So you got to make sure your entries and exits and sizing matters. Otherwise, you could be right. But if you get too big too early, you're not going to stay with the trade.
Okay. Real good stuff there on Tesla. Look, and IWM. Look, the viewers here are going to absolutely kill me if I don't ask you about NVIDIA. So I have to. What are we taking? What are your thoughts here on NVIDIA? You got any type of setup lined up or any type of trade lined up on that?
I do. Unfortunately, the semis have been like a headwind. Semis have been lagging since the July top, and NVIDIA, out of all the semis that I look at now, are all like a headwind. And the only thing holding up is NVIDIA, and the world wants NVIDIA to save the sector. I hope it can, but if NVIDIA, has guidance like AIM at it, you're going to put a nail in the coffin here. So I think you need to be careful. I started buying a little bit of calls for NVIDIA just in case it wanted to do a pre earnings move and get above 150. So I was buying the 150s, and I think the 155 small. And if it would have did a pre-earnings move, I probably would finance it by putting it into a call spread before Wednesday. If it happens to come in now, I'm not adding. I've already put some money to work. I'm going to wait till we get closer to Wednesday. You look at AMAT, which is obviously old school semi. Like, this has already been broken. Like, people are like, oh my God, look at this head and shoulders top on. Oh my God, an AMAT. As I look at it now, we'll see if this 168, 170 holds. But bottom line is, if you look at the SMHs, put in a double top at 262 and put a high here during July, and looks like it could be working its way to 240 even before NVIDIA on Wednesday if this market continues to be weak. So I would say if you're playing NVIDIA for earnings for next week, do it small because you don't know where it's going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday. You might as well wait. And there's a lot riding on NVIDIA this time because most other semis look pretty broken.
Okay. All right. Real good stuff there on some of those semis. Look, we were just kind of talking about SMCI. Any thought there on SMCI? I know it's had a ton of bad news. Just wanted to get your take on it real quick.
It's what I call a widowmaker. You know what a widowmaker is, Ryan?
Yes, I do. In fact, I've been referring to Nat Gas as a widowmaker for some time now.
Okay. Want to explain to everybody who doesn't know what it means?
Yeah. So this thing can really kind of wipe you out if you're wrong. This is one of those where if you bet too big and you're on the incorrect side of that, you are going to be wiped out. And
then you're going to leave your spouse with someone else and be a widow. So there you go. So if you look at SMCI, it was a widowmaker on the way up. Anybody who thought it was going to do this then that wasn't following the 8-day trend, which we have another lesson on, another book on. This was a great move. The world was, just they were mesmerized by SMCI, and it was great. I made a lot of money in this also. A lot of people lost that fought it. And then here you had this sideways where you kept, doing red dog reversal sells, this candle, red dog reversal right here, this candle, and then it just broke. So somebody knew there was problems, broke below the 8-day to 21-day, trend changed out of the way. And I do remember here, I will say, I had some calls on, right? Right here looked as if, hey, maybe it's going sideways. Hey, maybe people are too negative. Hey, maybe the bear report's wrong and they'll come out and their 10K will be fine. And I had, I think, the $55 calls. And guess what they did, Ryan? They went to what? 0. And I didn't care because risk is premium paid. It was a binary event. I was doing a lotto play where if all of a sudden the 10K was awesome, we're fine. It would have been a 50-knot. I would have went 3 times, 4 times my money. Instead, look what happened. So if I would have had a false sense of security and bought the shares, I would have lost and maybe my wife would have been a widow, so to speak. Instead, I lost my premium paid. So whenever you're going into a battleground area, whether it's earnings, whether it's FDA approval, whether it's an election, you want to go with options because risk is premium paid. If you buy 20, 30 calls for $6,000, that's 3,000 shares, and you bought them at 2 and they go to 0, you lose $6,000. If you had 3,000 shares here, you probably would have lost 20 points and lost 60,000 versus 6.
Okay.
Now, if you want to do the same thing, if you're like, hey, this isn't a 0, which it might be, just buy options and go out a month and forget about it. Don't overtrade, because this thing is it's just not worth it. There's cleaner things and better things to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things I've been saying on SMCI. I was just talking about that here this morning. It does look like there's a gap fill in the 16 handle. And you're right. I think if you're going to try trading that, options are the way to go. Don't be made a widow. Don't turn. Don't
people love you, Ryan. Everyone loves you out there. You don't want to leave them high and dry. What would Benzinga do?
Yeah, don't want to do that at all. All right, Scott, really good stuff. I'll get you out of here on this. Is there any general piece of advice that you would give some newer traders that are trying to get into this? Maybe someone that got into this during COVID when the market was certainly not behaving rationally. Any type of advice to newer traders that you would give?
By the way, COVID was awesome. In 2020, most traders had their best years. So it's all a matter of when volatility happens. If you embrace it and know what you're doing, you can make a lot of money. I would say just know it's not a get-rich-quick business. It's a grind. You get up, you rise, and you grind. That's what you do. That's what we do here at T3. So you want to stack days. You want to have a routine and a process, and you want to like it because you do it every day. If you don't like your routine and your process, you might as well quit, because every day, some days suck, and some days, hey, they work out better than others. So you want to make sure your highs don't get too high, your lows get too low. You want to be even keel, do the same thing every day, but also realize things you do wrong. Take accountability for bad trades. Did you have too much? Were you in there too early? Did you not honor your stops? And if you look at yourself in the mirror and you know that you did it wrong, then maybe you'll do it different. So it's a slow and steady process. It could be the best business in the world at times. You could do it anywhere around the world. But if you think, you're going to throw sugar honey iced tea against a wall just to see if it sticks, it might stick once, but chances are it's not going to stick often.
Okay. Real good stuff. Scott, thank you so much. Again, folks, remember, download Scott's ebook to see his #1 spot to buy. Get his free indicator that alerts you. T3live.com/Benzinga QR code. Scott, thanks so much for joining us here this morning. Have a great rest of your day and week, and we'll catch you next time. All right, boss?
All right, my friend. Have a good one. Good luck. Have a great weekend.